Hey peeps, this is a quick info session for the HERO program, or the HERO Group Support Program with Real Meal Revolution. So I want to take you through the theory of why we developed the HERO program. Then I'm going to talk to you about how it works, so how we execute on that theory. And finally, I'm going to take you through the deal. So stay tuned. It's going to be very quick and there's going to be a lot of information. So before I get started, I just want you to meet Jane VAUSE. So Jane VAUSE, she lost 45 kilograms on the HERO program. She reduced her BMI from 42 to 30. She lost centimeters around the waist. She dropped 4 dress sizes, reduced blood sugar and triglycerides, improved dramatically. And she's a great client of ours. In fact, she's still a member of Real Meal Revolution because she's still getting value from the programs we offer. But these are the kind of results that you can expect from the HERO program. So before we start, I just want you to take a moment and look at this list of ailments. So bloating, exhaustion, hot flushes, just choose a few that resonate with you. Which ones of these are you experiencing right now that are currently making your life uncomfortable? And the reason I'm showing you this list is because there are clinical trials that show that the low-carb diet, the keto diet, reduce the pain or reduce the symptoms of or completely eradicate all of these conditions. So I'm making this up. It's not pseudoscience. This is clinical trials. It's not fringe medicine. Okay, so take a moment and just think about what life would be like without any of those ailments. What would you do in 6 months' time if you weren't dealing with those? Who would you spend that time with? And what would that be like? Would that improve your life? Would that be worth fighting for? Would that be worth putting in a little bit of effort for? Because that's what's waiting for you on the other side of a health transformation. Now, that is something really exciting to look forward to. The problem is that other studies, meta-analyses show that only 2% of people who embark on weight loss programs or on weight loss journeys actually keep their weight off after 2 years. So what that means is only 2% of the people who start a weight loss journey reach their goal weight and actually get to the end of their journey and keep the weight off. And so our opinion in the past was that, it's because most people thought it was exercise and actually it was nutrition. So the 80-20 rule of exercise and nutrition was wrong. Everyone says exercise and use a diet to support the exercise. And now I think as people are starting to notice, you can't outrun a bad diet. So these days it's become nutrition first and then exercise. But even that, and with a diet that is rock solid, which is low carb, in 2013, we released the book and everyone started losing weight. 6 months later, not everyone started putting their weight back on, but people came to us at talks and said, I lost all the weight, put it back on again, and now I want to know what to do. And then we realized over the years, as we developed different coaching programs and different support programs, that actually the 80-20 was slightly different. And so to us, the 80-20 is actually 80% other stuff and only 20% exercise and nutrition. And this is really, really interesting for us as well, because if it was only diet and exercise, then all people would need is an exercise plan and a diet plan. And then if they lost the weight, they should be able to just keep it all forever and carry on. But very few people, only 2% of the people who actually find the successful, who actually find the right thing to do, manage to stick to it, even though they know it is the right thing to do. And so this other stuff is stuff like peer support. It's stuff like lifestyle changes, habit building, relationship fixing, because most people eat because they have stress. Everyone stress eats, but then they say, the way to cure stress eating is to find the right diet, not to reduce the stress. Or financial woes cause the stress. So actually the way to stop stress eating is to sort out your finances. These are all of the other things in our lives that we don't deal with. And in the HERO program, we deal with support. So a lot of people don't actually have peer support when they go in these programs. So I'm going to explain the theory behind the peer support. Just ignore that slide. So the first thing I need to tell you is when we embark on health journeys, many of us are terrified, paranoid about giving things up, feeling restricted. And the first thing I want to tell you is that when you're with Real Meal Revolution, we want to be the most delicious way to lose weight, which means you are going to eat well, you're going to eat delicious food. And these are just a few of the options that lie ahead of you. This is not, drinking bacon and eggs for breakfast every single day. This is eating fresh produce with good texture, good color, and good flavor that is going to nourish you. And it's going to be something that you look forward to beyond being a weight loss journey, this could be a gastronomic journey for you in itself. I'm the chef, and that's one of the things that I'm the most proud of, is that people fall in love with food again when they go on our programs. Now, one of the myths about banting or keto or low carb, which are all the same thing, by the way, is that it's really good for weight loss, but it's bad for health. Now, there are many, many different elements of health, but the best way to look at health is, what does an insurer consider the most expensive problems to solve? Okay. And so this is a study they did in Canada. Prof. Noakes was involved, and a few other doctors who we follow, but basically they ran a group support trial in Canada following a low carb diet, and these are the results that they got. So this is actually a screenshot, but don't worry, don't squint your eyes because you can read it on the right here. So the average weight loss for over 3 months was 13 kilograms in this trial they ran. The average reduction in BMI was 4.7. So that's going almost reducing by a whole class of obesity, because it goes in fives. 35 to 30, and then 30 to 25, 25 to 20, etc. So reducing almost by a whole class. Then the people with elevated abdominal circumference, which is a diagnosis that's associated with a lot of risk factors, 24% of the people who had elevated abdominal circumference, at the end of the trial, they no longer had elevated abdominal circumference. 38% of the people who were diagnosed with metabolic syndrome had no more metabolic syndrome. They were undiagnosed, not undiagnosed, like de-diagnosed, whatever the right word is. Now, the PHQ-9 score is a self-assessment score for depression. And if you are above a 10, you are considered moderately depressed and you can be medicated. If you're below 10, you're mild depression, and they say, go outside and get some nature. Now, 15.8% of the people on this trial who were above a 10, in other words, could be medicated. At the end of this trial, they had a reduction, and almost 16% of them said that they were no longer moderately depressed, which is significant. I'm not saying that low carb cures depression, by the way, but there was something about this trial, something about being connected, or something about people taking care of themselves that made them happier, or at least made them feel less depressed. Blood pressure, the average score for blood pressure before this trial was 136/85. The average after the trial was 122/77, which, if you have high blood pressure, you'll know is like the dream. HDL went up, which is good. LDL came down, which is good. Triglyceride concentration came down, which is great. And finally, the HbA1c concentration. So that came from a 7.5 or 7.47 to 6.95, which is to 7. So on average, it reduced by 5, but obviously people in that group reversed diabetes completely and others weren't able to. But what's important to note is, if you give these metrics, the finishing metrics, to an insurer, they will insure you. And if these metrics are bad, if you are type 2 diabetic, you are enormously high risk for expense at an insurance company. So in terms of overall health, the low carb diet helped people lose 13 kilograms, great. But it also helped people reverse diabetes, reduce their blood pressure, lower their triglycerides, raise their HDL, lower their LDL, improve depression in that particular environment, reverse metabolic syndrome, and reduce elevated abdominal circumference. So this is not just a weight loss diet. This is for overall health, and these are the key metrics for health that insurers will look at. So the next element, so now that you know that you can reverse your health and reverse health issues, you can eat delicious food, I want to look at the extra elements, so what the HERO program actually does, and that's around behavior change. Now, behavior change is different to what most of us think, and the best place to look at it is in business, because in business, people out there are trying to make money. And so what companies do is they spend lots of money training their staff to improve their behavior so that the businesses can make more money. And a great example of this is at Reuters. So Reuters had a CLO, or a chief learning officer, whose name was Charles Jennings. And Jennings was in charge of getting maximum return on investment from training the staff. And when he started out, he noticed people were going on these 1-week retreats. So you go away from Monday to Friday and you sit in lectures all day, and then in the evenings you're entertained. And then the next week, after you've gone to all of your lectures, you're expected to execute and implement all of the stuff that you've learned and hopefully make the company more money. But what they found is that they were getting no return on investment at all. No one was getting any more money. These people were just being sent away almost like on a holiday and then coming back and doing nothing. And so Jennings did lots of research, and what he found was that the ultimate learning ratio, the best way to get adults to learn and perform better, was to only give them 10% of new information. In other words, of the time that you have to learn, only spend 10% of that time learning new information. Then spend 20% of that time collaborating and talking to other people about the new information, and 70% of the time practicing. Now, you might think that's overkill, but think about this as an example. If you had to have a hollandaise sauce competition with Gordon Ramsay in 10 days' time, and you had two routes. The one route was to watch videos of Gordon Ramsay making hollandaise, everyone making hollandaise for 10 days in a row. And the other, and then arrive on match day and make hollandaise. And your other option was to spend 1 day watching videos of hollandaise, 2 days collaborating with other people on how they make hollandaise, and then 7 days practicing making hollandaise. Which route do you think would give you the best shot at beating Gordon Ramsay at making hollandaise? And hearing it like that, I'm assuming you're saying, okay, it was the day where I got to watch 1 day of videos, 2 days of collaboration, and 7 days of practice. And the exact same rules apply with health transformations, with any kind of adult behavior change. And the thing is, we never do that with health. A lot of us say we're going to go on a health transformation, and then we watch videos all the time on YouTube, but we don't actually spend enough time practicing and collaborating. And that's the thing. We want to be practicing and collaborating and reading less. So the next thing that a lot of us don't do when we're on health transformations is set crystal clear goals. Now, I'm curious, for those of you sitting there watching this, what is the actual goal that you have? Now, a lot of people say, oh, my goal is to improve my health, or my goal is to lose weight. But when I say crystal clear, I mean, like, what is the actual goal? So is it reduce ABA1C from 7.5 to 5.5? Or is it to reduce abdominal circumference from 130 to 85 or 90? Is it to reduce weight from 110 to 75? What is the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goal? And is anyone checking that with you? But more important than what the goal is in the short term to lose the initial weight, what is the dream? Why do you want to lose weight now? And what do you want in the future? And so what we do at Real Meal Revolution is we help you set long-term goals. So goals that you can see into the future for, because this is actually why you want to lose weight now, is so that you can live a rich and fulfilling life. And so we help you actually do that and create a vision for your health that motivates you to push on when times are tough. But then we also make you look at the short term. So rather than holding your breath for a 50-kilogram weight loss goal, we say, what can you achieve in 12 weeks? Because 12 weeks is the perfect amount of time to focus on a goal. It's long enough for you to move the needle on something that you're working at, but it is short enough for you to actually focus on the end and for life to not change completely. If you just look back at the last year, you'll see how many times life has thrown you a curveball. And if you think about just 12 weeks, even if you get a curveball in that 12 weeks, you can set another 12 weeks and reset that goal. So what the Hero program does is focuses on these 12-week slots. Even companies focus on quarters because they know that is the optimal range to set a goal and achieve it with a group of people. And companies are just groups of people, and you watching this are a person. So a lot of the theory in the Real Meal Revolution and a lot of the theory in the Hero program comes from my own journey. Now, I gave a webinar a while back on performance or breakthrough results, and I spoke about my swim from Mozambique to Madagascar. And I had 5 things in place that made this swim possible. And what else it did was made it almost impossible to pull out of the swim. And so I'll take you through them quickly. Firstly, I had told absolutely everyone that I was doing this swim. I told everyone on Facebook, I told news agents, friends, family, etc. Everyone knew I was doing it. And you're going to think that's crazy, but I'll explain why. Then I had many people helping me. I had mentors. I had Tim Noakes. I'd asked him to write Real Meal Revolution to help me raise money for charity. I had the guys who had the boat. I had my own coach, photographer, David Greer. I had my own mindset coach. There were all these people around me who were supporting my adventure. I had Thane Williams, my swimming buddy. He and I, we came up with the idea together. We trained together. We were like partners in crime. Then we had this cause that was greater than us. And I'll be the first to admit, when I originally started, I wasn't interested in doing it for charity, but over time became interested in that. And then what happens with that charity is when you're having a dark time and you're not thinking about your goals and the glory, you can actually lean on the fact that you're doing this to help other people. And there's an element of having a selfless goal that makes you more motivated and more driven to achieve it because you know it's going to help other people. And finally, I had a crystal clear goal. Get from there to there, swim that line. Now, you probably think that's crazy, but what I want to tell you is that you've actually done exactly what I did in the past with things that are more difficult, So if you have been to school, if you have been to university and finished, if you have had a job, or if you have had children, then the chances are you have had all 5 of those things in place already. So when you were at school, imagine if you arrived on the first day of high school, and on your first day of high school, someone came up to you and said, here are your books. Don't talk to any of your classmates. You may not ask any questions. You're not allowed to tell anyone you're at school or how you're doing at school. And then on the last day of matric in 5 years' time, we're going to throw some exams your way. Good luck. Now, that is actually how terrifying a weight loss journey is on your own. So I'm curious. So you did that at school, by the way. At a university, you had the same thing. Instead of having no one to talk to, no teachers, you weren't allowed to tell anyone, you had the exact opposite. Everyone knew you were at school. You had teachers helping you every day. You had classmates. You had partners in crime. You had an end goal. I need to get to the end because I want to finish matric and carry on with my life. And in a strange way, you were helping your parents because you were helping yourself get out of their hair. Now, the same thing applies at university level. The same thing applies if you had a job and you're probably wondering, how is it helping people? There's no organization in the world that exists to not help people. They all exist in some way to serve people. And finally, if you're a child, if you're a parent, you are there to, that's one of the most selfless things you can do is give life to someone else and help. So there were these ways that you could find to make your goal about something bigger than you. Now, I'm curious, how many of you have this in place for your health? Do you have a specific goal? Are you telling people what the goal is? There's a paradox there. We don't want to tell people because we don't want to fail. And the irony in it is that the fewer people we tell, the more likely we are to fail because no one actually knows what we're into and we haven't actually trained our environment to cater for what it is that we're trying to achieve. And the more people you tell, the more you lock yourself into a goal and the more likely you are to get there. There's no one who got to number 1 in the world at tennis who didn't say, I want to be number 1 in the world. In fact, there's no one in the world who was the champ at anything without announcing they wanted to be the champ. And that's huge risk because the shame when you lose is terrible. So we have to, well, there's perceived shame. It's not real shame. It's just your own shame. So the key is to tell people and be vulnerable and get people engaged. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. So when it all comes together in the Hero program, this is what it looks like. So this is a 12-week period, or 12 weeks period, and then 1 kind of week of planning and reflection. And this is the model we call the personal development planning model at Real Meal Revolution. And so this is your sort of timeline. And the Hero program runs over 3 months or 13 weeks. And in those 13 weeks, you have a clear goal for the quarter. So we make you set a crystal clear goal and we help you define that. You know, is it measurable? Is it specific? Is it achievable and realistic? And we try to get you not to think too much about the future. It's there, but we want you to focus on what's right in front of you. And then this principle applies. We want you to learn very little. We want you to mentor and collaborate quite a lot with your group. And then we want you to focus on practicing. Practice. And so focus less on theory and focus more on practice. Now, this is the sort of timeline that fits into these weeks. In week 0, you get onboarded and welcome to the program. Then week 1, you have your first big workshop. And then every 2 weeks, you have another workshop. And this workshop is where you all collaborate, you share what's working and what's not. and you recommit to your goals for the next 2 weeks. And then you meet again 2 weeks after that, and 2 weeks after that, 2 weeks after that. So there are these big chunks of goal that you can eat out of your 12-week goal every 2 weeks, so that at the end, you actually get to the end of the program and it doesn't feel like you've been on a 12-week journey. You've actually been on 6 2-week journeys. But then it gets a step more supportive, because you have these fortnightly check-ins where you're breaking your goal into chunks. But even with those check-ins, you're creating process goals. Now, a process goal is what you commit to doing, not commit to achieving. So losing 10 kilograms, that is an outcome goal. I will lose 10 kilograms. A process goal is I will eat only low carb today. That is a process, eating low carb today. And then what happens is you commit to these process goals that support your outcome goals, and then you hold each other accountable. So you get put into a little group of 5 with a coach, and you hold each other accountable every day, and you check in on each other on WhatsApp. And then if you're having any problems or you're stuck, you need to ask a question, you ask your support group. So that's how all of that theory comes together. This is Tessa Whitfield. One of the reasons I love her is because she was so excited by her weight loss. She went and had professional photographs taken, because she's now become a professional health coach. So she is one of the coaches who works at Real Meal Revolution. And she says the impact of the programs I've done with RMR has allowed me to develop my self-confidence in a way that will serve me for the rest of my life. And people see Tessa on the internet who they haven't seen her in 20 years, and they just phone her and they're giving her like all the glory. She can't believe it. But her life is completely transformed. And so this is what the Hero program offers. Firstly, you join a group of 5 like-minded individuals. Remember, just like I had Thane when I was swimming from Mozambique to Madagascar, you get put with a group of other people who are on the same journey as you. And then you get assigned a rockstar hero leader, is what we call them, like Tessa or Sharon or Danny or Adrian, one of our great hero leaders. They've all done the program, they've lost the weight, but then they've done the training, so they know how to support you professionally. Then you have 6 powerful fortnightly workshops, which are super cool. And the point of the workshops, obviously, to connect, but then to crystallize your measurable, achievable goals over that period. Then you have daily accountability. So you check in every day. And finally, you get results. So these results are guaranteed. If you don't get the Hero program results, we'll pay you back. But the Hero program is so successful and it adds so much value to people's lives. We've never had to pay a refund ever, and I don't believe we ever will. And so for this program, it costs 4,500 Rand. We don't take it monthly, it's only upfront. And the reason for that is that we want this group to stay a unit. And so you commit to all 12 weeks, because obviously in a 12-week period, you're gonna have ups and downs. And the point is that you commit for 3 months and you pull yourself through. When it's dark, the group carries you, and that's how it goes. So this is what a Zoom workshop looks like. This is what checking in daily on WhatsApp looks like, sending food pictures, screenshots of fasting if you're fasting. This is kind of what your community would look like in its simplest form. These are the platforms on which the program exists. And but then there's some bonuses. So we got a few other products at Real Meal Revolution, and I wanted to tell you about them because there's some bonuses in the Hero program when you sign up. And the first thing is our Real Meal Revolution 12-week online course. This thing has happened in many, many forms over the last 8 years. And so this is a 1,500 Rand program, and it's 12 weeks of awesome lectures. You get about 2 lectures a week, and you get a meal plan, and you get access to our web app, which I'll show you next. But this is an amazing online course that will give you a great foundation in low carb from our perspective. Then we have a series of expert workshops in what we call the habit building program. And for 3 months on the habit building program, it costs 1,500 Rand. Now, you'll get lectures, a 12-week series of workshops from Bridget Surtees, and she will teach you about, and live, by the way, this is not pre-recorded, live workshops with Bridget Surtees, and she'll teach you about nutrition. I will teach you about performance mindset, which is all the mindset tools that I've worked with to go from being a trash teenager to a world record breaking athlete. And then Victoria is a specialist in transformation psychology, or eating transformation psychology. And so what she'll talk about is all the emotional stuff, all the psychology behind what drives us to eat, which is critically important. So that is 3 12-week programs that you get included in this. And if you can't make the live lectures, we bomb out an email every Friday with the recordings. And then finally, we have the RMR web app. So this costs 200 Rand a month. So for 3 months, it's 600 Rand. And this app has all of my recipes. It's more than 650 recipes. We have meal plans and meal tracking tools. So you can download a meal plan that is scaled to your macros. You can download any of my recipes. You can print them out. You can keep them in your file, but you can also track your journey. So you get to see how your weight disappears over the months, etc. And that's a super cool place. We call it the dashboard, the one-stop shop where you can manage your journey. And so the Hero program, last thing, Margie Hackett also did the Hero program. In fact, 2 of her daughters have become coaches of the Hero program. And she says, this is a total holistic approach. I can decide how much and when to eat or not, unlike needing to have X meals a day. I am no longer food obsessed, and I now enjoy socializing, focusing on the experience rather than the food table. So what Margie got from attending the workshops and being involved in the Hero program was that she didn't need to hide away at the buffet, and avoid socializing and eat, because she realized one of the things that she did to avoid awkward conversations or to break the ice was to eat. And through working on that 80% of other stuff, which we talk about in the Hero program, she has reframed her entire experience of socializing, and now she doesn't need to eat at parties. In fact, now she just socializes and looks forward to connecting with other people. So that's Margie. Okay, so the Hero program offer is as follows. You get the 3-month Hero program for 4,500 Rand. Then you get there's a 12-week online banting course, which I said is 1,500 Rand. All of the workshops in the habit building program, which is actually 3 programs squashed into one, 1,500. And then 3 months free on the web app, which is worth 600 Rand. Now in total, and if you join the Hero program, you get a 2,000 Rand discount on the Eating Psychology Transformation program, which is like our new flagship program. So the total value is 10,000 Rand. And at that price, that is insane value if you look at what you're getting. And some of these things you have lifetime access to. This is ridiculous value. But because we want it to be accessible and we want you to have an awesome time on the program, the whole program, all of those programs combined together, we are selling for 4,500 Rand. And that's how it works. The Hero program is 4,500 Rand. You get 3 months on the web app. You get 3 months of the habit building program, which is that expert workshop series. You get a 3-month online course. You get a discount on the Hero program, on the Eating Psychology program, and you get 3 months worth of Hero program. It is amazing. Okay, so there are a few common questions that come up. If you have a question, leave it on this post. We get notifications, so we'll come back and answer it. It doesn't matter how old this video is. Leave a question, we'll answer it for you. When does this start? Okay, so we start the Hero program on the first Friday of every month. So if you're watching this before New Year, it'll be the first Friday of January. If you watch, except unless it is the first, but you can always count on it being the first Friday of every month. And what happens after you pay? So after you pay, you get dropped into where you land in an online course, and that online course is going to tell you what to do next. But it'll usually be to register for a WhatsApp group and to register for a welcome workshop. And that welcome workshop is a live Zoom, and you'll be given all of the information. And within 12 hours or 24 hours of you signing up, you will get one of our support team reaching out to you to check in on WhatsApp to make sure you know what's going on and you know what your next steps are. Then what happens when it finishes? Now you do have a choice when it finishes to renew, or you can downgrade and join one of our other programs, or you can upgrade and join one of our other programs. That's up to you, but it's 3 months and then you are finished. But we do find that most people renew for a second round, at least a second round. Okay, how long does it last? It's 12 weeks or 3 months. Usually it's 13 weeks if you include the week that you sign up in. How much weight can you lose? Our record in 3 months is, 3 months on keto, our record is 60 odd kilograms, but that's not actually fair because the guy had a very high start weight. So the best that we've had on the Hero program today, it's 28 kilos. We reckon that you can rely comfortably between 6 and 18 kilograms, and that depends on how much weight you have to lose and how far you are in your weight loss journey. But if you're sitting on like 30 kilograms to lose, you could bank on losing between 6 and 12 quite easily in 12 weeks. When will I see results? You should see results in the first week. That's usually when you actually get your best results, and then after that it slows down. The point of the Hero program is there for if you don't get results. So if you have a slow week or a fast week, you've got people to chat to about it. So you're going to learn more about your body and you're going to stay aware. So if you don't see results, you will see results is the answer, because you'll be collaborating and tweaking as you go. You can choose your own coach, but it depends on which coaches are running this round of the Hero program and which time slots work for you. Because the coaches all run their own businesses or have other jobs. This is something that they do over and above. And so the time slots are very sensitive. So you have to see what time slots there are. And if you speak to one of our sales team, they'll be able to tell you which time slots you can choose. And what isn't in here is that if you have friends who you want to do it with, you can actually ask to be put in a group together. Do I need any supplements or other stuff? Not really. We recommend magnesium, vitamin D, and salt. But you don't have to go and buy these things if you don't want. If you're eating real foods, you will be healthy and you won't need supplements. But in general, there are a couple of supplements people recommend, but they're not 100% essential. So if you have any other questions, please pop them in the comments. Otherwise, the last thing you need to know is that we have limited spaces because we have very few Hero leaders. And so if you are keen, it is first come, first serve. It's even first come, first serve for the clients who are on the Hero program before they renew. So these disappear. They're like diamonds, these spaces on the Hero program. And so if you are keen, please fire off a question straight away. Email support@realmealrevolution.com or wendy@realmealrevolution.com, or phone the number in the comments. And hopefully we'll see you in the welcome session. So thank you very much for watching. All the best. Keep it real. Stay healthy. We'll see you in the Hero program.